The world as we know it has changed forever. We have to unite more than ever. It has never been easier to connect. Social media is the great equalizer as we continue to learn from each other. It allows us to challenge our beliefs and turn our fears into action. How far can we go? It's up to us. We have to conquer our fears, crush mediocrity, stay motivated, dream big. If your dreams don't scare you, they aren't big enough. In the think tank, we will never settle for anything less than an extraordinary life. Today's guest is Captain Kevin Spencer.
Kevin Spencer, welcome to
Yes,
the think
sir.
tank. Welcome to the
Thank,
think tank, my buddy.
thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. I look forward to this day. You are such an inspiration. Let me just tell our audience a little bit about you. Naturally, you are my sister's son, number one. So
Right.
you are my nephew, right? Get that right,
Absolutely.
exactly. And I saw you as a little boy, probably 3, 4 before I left. When I left home, you were about
Man,
probably.
I don't think I was born yet.
No, I
Is
don't think you were. No, you weren't.
81.
No,
I'm
exactly. You weren't
81.
born yet. Exactly. You
You
were
were
not born
born.
yet. Wow. Thanks for reminding me. The old boy getting old.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah.
anyway, it's I you know when you were born and your other nephew Gerald, the two of you guys, mom and dad, pretty much raised you.
Pretty
End up
much.
your, end
Yeah.
up your mom, but your mom was still at home, and your granddad and your grandma will raise you. And
Yep. Head of household.
you were a troublesome little kid, but quiet.
Man, what can I say,
Exactly, but that
There
that's
was just
that's
too much to get into.
I know, and being in the islands, there was a lot to get into. You all that good food, man, and good
Yeah.
climate, good air. But
Yep.
anyway,
We like outside.
right, exactly. But you aspired for greatness. You wanted to follow your other uncle, who is also a pilot,
Yep.
and you strived and you struggled like everybody else. I saw you. We've had many heart-to-heart talks. I try to lift you up, and even you lift me up when I had my little downtimes.
Right.
And we've always been in communication. You're almost like a son to me, and I really appreciate that. I mean, I just marvel at what you've done, and I wanted to bring you on
Appreciate that.
so you can encourage the kids in the islands, the kids of the world, to let them know, black, white, green, or blue, once you have a dream, dreams do come true. And like I always say, you have to dream, but you have to open your eyes and see the dream. That's my analogy.
Absolutely.
You have to dream, but you must open it. In other words, dreams are good and are not that good enough. You have to put action towards your dream, and you put
Exactly.
action into your dream. You started off. Anyway, I'll let you tell your story. So right now, you tell the world a little bit about Kevin. You can tell about your personal life. You have a great little boy. This is daddy's boy. So tell us a
Right.
little bit about Kevin, and then we'll go into your what your dream, how your dream came true.
All right. Well, Kevin Spencer, Kevin Omar Antonio Spencer,
Hey,
full
how
name.
about that?
Yep. Grew up in St. Lucia, small island in the islands in the Caribbean, 238 square miles.
Hmm.
Grew up in Leclerc, Castries, which is sort of the northwest side, central northwest side of the island. Um, we were um, we were a good family. What a strong upbringing, man. If I had to do it all over again, man, I would. I mean, you talk about family is everything,
Right.
man. That the Spencer family, man, we were a tight knit. Still today, we're a
Yes.
tight knit group, and um, my influence, first of all, the go getter attitude was a direct result of granddad, grandmother,
Right.
aunts, and uncles.
Hmm.
You know, it started off with Gerald and myself, my older cousin. He's four
Right.
years older than me. But man, we had such a work ethic.
Hmm.
Reading was a uh, very strongly enforced in the house.
Yep.
However, it took me a while to catch on to this
Yeah,
whole
like we know,
reading thing.
to.
It was like a chore for me. Oh, you got to read a book. You got to, stop being idle. But man, I loved being idle because I was a dreamer.
Yes, exactly.
And my earliest influences of aviation specifically
Mm-hmm.
came for just being in the balcony at the house.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, you
you
can
look
see
to the right
you can see the planes always come because we live close to the airport. Right.
always. And you know what's funny? I could remember being sort of walked or carried in the balcony, like
Mm.
trying to put me to sleep. I
Right.
remember
You
that
remember that?
that young,
Wow. Wow.
and I could see all this going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's basically planted sight.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it, and I say probably until maybe 3 or 4. We have
Mm-hmm.
this thing called a study room. Most
Right.
island people have a study room.
Right. Mm-hmm.
In there were books.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Specifically, to the right side was all Uncle Chris's aviation stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Man, somehow one day I got hold of a pair of scissors
Mm-hmm.
and I started cutting out all the little pictures of the aircraft and the
Mm-hmm.
planes, and you put two and two together. I see it happening out there. I see it in the
Right.
books. So naturally, that
Mm-hmm.
started to grow.
Right.
Um, Fast forward 3, 4 years old, Daddy used to bring us for drives on the airport,
Right.
Gerald and myself,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
we would just sit there for hours, man, just
Mm-hmm.
landing,
What's
taking off. You
planes?
know,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I would see the guys with the pilot suit,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd be like, one day I was like, man, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what I like. I want to do.
Yep.
You know, nobody was fueling it
Right.
back then
Mm-hmm.
because I know, mommy was very protective of us,
Right.
grandma.
Mm-hmm.
So the thought of me wanting to do the whole aviation thing,
She
it
didn't
was
like that.
so,
Because
it was
she had Chris and now you. No, my boy is not.
exactly,
That fear. That fear.
yeah. So she didn't really, nobody really played into it. Not even, I don't think Uncle Chris even knew about it until really late on when he started coming around,
Right.
you know. Um, my mom knew about it, my dad knew about it, and I'll say probably when I got to Anglican school,
Mm-hmm.
um, actually you came home for a while
Mm-hmm.
and you brought your Macintosh computer with you and
Right.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
There was I don't know if you remember, but Microsoft made this flight simulator. It came on a disk.
Right.
All right, I was able to obtain that,
Mm-hmm.
and so you played a very pivotal role in that as well, without
Wow.
you even knowing.
And annoying. And not been
And
around for so long.
right, and
Mm.
it started off really with that because it was
Right.
more of a hands-on sort
Mm-hmm.
of, and I had nobody to really mentor me into the actual computer version of the whole
Right. Mm-hmm.
aviation thing. So I kind of went as I went, picked up, found out
Mm-hmm.
stuff on my own. And man, believe it or not, you get so engrossed in this thing just by being, in the whole simulator world.
Right.
That thing started to really fuel my dream, and it's
Actually,
like,
Uncle Chris, your Uncle Chris, my younger brother,
mm,
when I was in Atlanta, he took me one day to the airport in Atlanta International Airport. He said, "Man, come meet me at the airport for lunch." And
yeah.
he took me into this big 747 simulator.
Oh
And
wow.
oh my, this was, I mean, it's awe inspiring. It is, oh my gosh, it is
It
so
is.
realistic. And he was in there with me, and he simulated a storm where the plane was going to crash, and he had to pull it back up and move to the. It was so real. I mean, it
Yep.
was like wow, So that's what he meant. He goes to the train. You probably done it also.
Yes, I
That
do
simulator
every
world.
3 months. Yeah.
Right. That simulator world is so real. Oh my goodness. I had a good respect for you guys for pilots now, man. Trust me. Anyway, sorry,
Yes.
go ahead. Yeah.
So yeah, the simulator basically really fueled my interest to a
Mm-hmm.
point where, man, there was no turning back. I didn't care how I was going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care when.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew I had to get there.
You were mission driven. The mission was
Mission driven.
right. Mm-hmm.
But man, I think with the whole want and drive to go
Mm-hmm.
get it, there's a bit of patience that's involved,
Yes. Patience
you
and
know.
pain. Patience and pain.
Patience, yeah, patience and pain. It's like you want to move forward, but there's a little drag behind you, like a little drag chute,
Hmm.
sort of like the runners practice with.
Right, right, right.
Man, that's patience behind you
Trust
as
me.
well.
Hmm.
Sometimes you think, oh, things are not working out, but everything is timing, man.
Yes. Everything is always
Everything is
working
time
out. Everything is
working out.
always working out. That's right. It's patience. There you go.
You know, it may be slow, it may be in
Hmm.
little increments, but man, you have to keep moving for as long as you're moving, you're good.
Right. You're good. That's right.
You
Hmm.
don't want to stop and you don't want to go backwards.
Hmm. Hmm.
So to fuel that, what did I do? I surrounded myself with people with like interests,
Right.
good company.
Hmm.
Surround yourself with people that build you up, whether
Right.
it be family, whether it be total strangers.
Hmm. Hmm.
The other thing I did was I kept immersing myself in the environment.
Right.
So when I say that, I mean I went to the airport, you
Call you
know,
Marco Plane. Marco Plane.
Mako planes all over the place, you know.
Yep.
I, once I get off from school at 3-4 o'clock,
Right.
jump on the bike, head straight down to the VG airport,
Right.
or sometimes all the way back in the college by the peninsula right there,
Right. Up there. Right. Exactly. Hmm.
you know. So that's what I did, and pretty soon I had a small following of friends who
Hmm.
basically did the same thing. These guys are also pilots today,
Right. Hmm.
you know, and we stayed a tight knit group.
Right.
Um, but the patience part, man. So you wanna just jump straight into it, but you have to finish your 5 years of
Hmm.
secondary school,
Right.
and then I went up the Mon. But during secondary school, how did I stay motivated? Obviously by doing the same thing.
Right. Right.
At that time, Uncle Chris was more involved now.
Right. Right.
You know, um, I told him my intentions, and at the time I was still about 15, 16.
Right.
So I had
Exactly.
I had like 3 more years to really
Right.
come up with a plan,
Hmm.
and that's where family
Hmm.
comes in.
Right.
You have people like my mom, Auntie Diane, Uncle Wally,
Hmm.
Uncle Chris. It's like those four came together and
Right. And
just
your mom played a big part. Trust me. We got to give props to her. She was. I
absolutely.
mean, she never. I mean, you her only child, her only son, and she called you her blue-eyed boy, right?
Yep.
I'm
You
blue-eyed
know,
boy. But she played a big part. Olive. She played a. Honestly, I have to give her props on that. She's
she
proud of
did.
you, and I'm happy for her. You know.
My mom has always been a magician to me, man.
Oh, yeah. Put it simply, right? Yep.
Shh, man, it's like it's put it this way. There are times I'd come downstairs and, man, I'm in the cupboard, I'm looking for food,
I know.
and there's nothing there to eat. And she
Uh-huh.
said, Boy, go upstairs. I'll call you in a little bit. Go upstairs.
Hmm.
Man, 20 minutes later I come
She
down with
put
a
something
full
together.
course.
I know. I know.
I'm like,
Yep.
where all this food come from? She said,
Uh,
don't worry about it, just eat.
that's right. That's right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but my mom rallied everybody together, and it was definitely a joint effort. I'm forever grateful. Actually, I was just having this conversation with Auntie Diane yesterday,
Right.
you know, and I'm forever grateful for everybody coming together at the
Mm-hmm.
time,
Mm-hmm.
including you, Uncle,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I left in 2000
Right.
actually, and
Mm-hmm.
it was so like sporadic. It's like you never know when your break is
That's
coming,
it. That's it.
but you just have to be ready for it.
You have to be ready because you do the work. You
I
do the
did the
work.
work.
You do the work. I
Now,
tell people dreams are dreams, but you got to do the work. You can have
man,
all the faith in the world, but faith without works is nothing. You got
exactly.
to do the work. Period. And
So
I've seen you do the work. That's why I want to reiterate that fact. You had a dream, but I mean, everybody helps you, but you took that extra step and made it a reality, and that's the dream. Dreams
yeah,
become a reality. You've got to do the work. Yep.
exactly. So, you know, I got comfortable for a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because it took a little while for
Right.
everything to happen. In the
Mm-hmm.
meantime, what I did was I enrolled in Montech up the Mon.
Right, right.
So Arthur Lewis Community
Okay,
College.
you did. Okay.
Yeah, I did that. So
Mhm.
I did an auto mechanics course in there.
Right.
Um, ever grateful for that move because the way the islands are set up, it's like the Caribbean is more of a trades type
Hmm.
of
Right.
stuff,
Sure,
you know,
definitely. After you leave secondary school, it's trades. Exactly.
trades.
Hmm.
So man, even if my major was auto mechanics, and I did welding, fitting and machinery,
Hmm.
physics, plumbing, man, we did
Yep.
everything. Those were all little prerequisites,
Right,
you
right,
know, whereas, you know, America is more of a degree driven
right.
type of, you
Hmm.
know, back home it was all hands on. So
Right.
I did that for about a year and a half, and then I got a call
Hmm.
from Uncle Chris, and
Right.
he was like, "Dude, you got to be up here this date, that date, that date."
Hmm.
Um, Uncle Chris was very instrumental because rather than jumping straight into the actual pilot stuff,
Hmm.
um, he decided since I was already an you know, certified auto mechanic,
Right.
maybe I should do the maintenance.
Right.
And at the time, I did not
Even think about
understand
that.
that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
as a matter of fact, I opposed it for a long
Hmm.
while
Yeah, yeah.
until my mom was like, "Look, just look at it this way. You have the opportunity to go up and do something and
Right.
get something done.
Do something with your
So
life, boy. Do something
do
with your
something
life,
with your
boy.
life." So I mean, Uncle, no joke. For at
Hmm.
least 6 months into it, I was like, man, I should be flying because all my friends left and went straight to flight school,
To flight school. Right, right.
you
Yeah.
know. And there I am up in Atlanta.
Messing around with the mechanic of putting engines. I remember the time you called me. I called you and you said, "Oh, guess what? I took the Cessna engine down in this morning, and by
Yeah,
5 o'clock, you put the engine back in the Cessna plane in one by
yep,
all by yourself, all by through
yep,
through the and you were explaining to me the FAA specs, specifically.
yeah,
You have to document everything, what you did and what you didn't do, and it was just an amazing journey. But you took an engine out in one day and put it
yep.
back the same day. I remember that conversation clearly. You remember that conversation?
I
Yep,
do very well.
yep, yep.
So although, you know, Mom and Uncle Chris had their plan, I also had my plan, my plan, my plan in the background. So,
Like it's like we
you
say in
know,
St. Lucia, Susse. You remember Susse, you know?
so man, you know, I was like, you know what? I'll save my money. I will go to school. So, being up here, but you know, in 2001, I got up here. It was December 2001, I believe so.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I went to Atlanta Tech. I lived with
Right,
Uncle Chris and his family,
right.
and I gave it my all,
Sure.
and it worked out perfectly. You know, all the way up till 8 months into it, I had a 4.0
Hmm.
GPA. You know, it was
Right,
good stuff.
right.
However, throughout the 8 months, I started looking at different opportunities to where I could, you know, bring in some income somehow.
Right.
And I had a very good friend of mine in Texas, and I went to go see him on spring break.
Hmm.
And man, immediately I got there, and I was smart about it. I brought my credits with me from Atlanta Tech,
Right.
and I just started to plug in numbers here
Sure,
and there to
sure. Yeah.
see
Hmm.
how,
Just
man,
figuring
it
it
was
out. Figuring, no fear, just figuring it out. Something's got to break. Something's going to happen.
man, because I didn't want to be in Atlanta for another, you know, year or so and then have it to go back home.
Right, right.
You know,
Hmm.
man, when I left, that was it.
Yeah.
My mentality was like, no turning back. This is one shot. You got do whatever it takes.
Because it's not that you don't like your home country like me. It's not that I love St. Lucia, but the opportunities on a little island are not as big as in the United States. So when we all come to America, we are all driven,
Exactly.
driven. So I know exactly where you come from. Because that's my point. I didn't want to go back home, not because I didn't love St. Lucia, but because I was driven because of the opportunities. And
Yeah.
you were the same way.
Yeah, because I had a support system up here. I had you up here as an
Right,
example. And man,
right.
you know, I brag and boast about you all the time because, man, you are one of the most knowledgeable people I ever came across. And to call
Mhm.
you uncle, man, I tell you,
Yeah.
it's a very warm, satisfying feeling, you know.
Good. Yeah. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
when I watch you do it and I watch Uncle Chris do it, I was like, man, why am I going? I love my country, but
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go make something of myself, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Yeah. So I spoke to Uncle Chris about it, and a lot of the family was sort of against me going to Houston, but I
Mm-hmm.
knew what was best for me, and
Right.
eventually I got support from
Right.
everybody.
Mm-hmm. I remember that time. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a little rough because
Mm-hmm. I remember that's where we had a lot of conversations. You know.
yes,
Yep.
we
Yep.
were
Mm-hmm.
really tight back then, talking
Yeah. Yeah.
very
Yeah.
often,
Mm-hmm.
and the plan I had sort of backfired when I got to Houston
Mm-hmm.
because the support system I thought I had from my friend,
Right.
you know, he was painting all these rainbows for me. He's like, "Yeah, I got an extra vehicle. You could come. I got, you could stay with." Man, I I got there and it's like nothing's not his.
Nothing.
Stay
Nothing.
with his girl. It's his girl's vehicle. This is, and so we'll talk about the winter of 2003, man. And unbeknownst to, well, I didn't tell anybody because
Yeah.
I figured by then I'm a man. I
Mhm.
made a certain decision.
Right.
I have to,
Live with it.
live with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yeah, man. So I transferred to this school called Westwood College of Aviation,
Mm-hmm.
and I met some great guys there, from
Mm-hmm.
mostly foreign guys,
Right. Right.
and my friend and I fell out to where I had nowhere to go after a
Right.
while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Money was running out.
Right.
Uh, I thought I would have found some sort of income. By the
Mm-hmm.
time I got there, that fell through. And one day, man, they just came and got me out of class and said, "Look, you've been dodging us for 3 months. I managed to get so many credits out of them. I managed to complete a whole section of my license
Wow. Wow.
because there were classes at night and classes during the
The
day.
day,
So
right?
if I know the admin people are there in the morning, I'll go in the afternoon. Man, one day they sent a team for me, boy,
uh,
and they're like, "Mr. Spencer, we've been looking for you for three
3
months."
months.
He's like, "You can't come back to class until you
Yeah.
pay
Yeah.
pay
Yeah.
off your
You
balance."
pay up. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So man, feeling broken, defeated, I was like, "Man, what do I do? Do
Mm-hmm.
I go home? Do I go home and say I gave it a shot? And do I say to Uncle Chris and everybody, man, you were right. I shouldn't have left, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or do I just man up
Mm-hmm.
and figure it out?"
Figure it out. That's right. That's the key part of life. What a lot of people miss. When difficulty arises, it's an
Yeah.
opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity to grow. What do? You either go back or you go forward. Now you just take that little moment and listen to that little voice. It always comes to you. I'm
Yeah.
older than you, and I can tell you. I've had my difficulties like everybody else has. But the defining moment of life is when you stop and you make a decision. I'm not going back, and that's what you did all on your own. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yep. So, man, one day, well, actually, I had nowhere to go. So I slept in, I had my 93 Corolla.
I remember
That
that little
was,
Corona. Yep. Yep.
yep, that was my everything,
Yes, indeed.
I slept in wherever,
Mm-hmm.
Walmart parking lots, Target parking
Right.
lots, wherever,
Mm-hmm.
truck stops.
Mm-hmm.
And I took showers at this local college called Lee College in Baytown, Texas. And
Mm-hmm.
I worked out for free.
Right.
And little by little, man, and money started to just grow down. Man, I used to take $5 and stretch that all week. Thank God for the dollar menu at McDonald's,
That McDonald, I know. And I remember, I mean, and that was a critical moment when I know we used to talk a lot. And
Yeah.
you say, Unc, man, whew, man, things are rough. So I send you, I say, go. I tell you, go to Western Union. There's something there for you.
Western Union.
Right. And we would
Yes.
do that. So, I mean, it's family again. Whatever we could do, we all reached out and then made it happen. And that's the key thing about family. We all go through our trials and tribulations, but we can always rely on family. definitely.
Always.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Go ahead. Go. Yeah, the dollar menu was good. I remember that.
Oh yeah, man. That was a good fix for me right
Yeah.
there. Um, man, one day I decided to just leave Baytown and just venture off into use. Back then there was no Google Maps. There was none
Right.
of that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a $5 map you buy from any gas station,
Right. Right.
and you gotta figure out where you at
Mm-hmm.
by reading, which is very fundamental, which
Right. Right.
everybody drove into me as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down I-10 and towards the city, and I'm driving, and I could see the city, and I
Mm-hmm.
could see I'm on course, and we're going down to Houston, and the city is starting to drift sort of to my left a little bit.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm like, okay, something's not right here. I may have
Mm-hmm.
stayed on I-10 too long or whatnot. And I got off on this other freeway at the time called Highway 290, which
Okay.
was under construction. And man,
Mm-hmm.
I'm driving and I'm waiting for this exit to come, and
Mm-hmm.
nothing's coming.
Nothing's coming. Yeah.
All of a sudden, I saw this small aircraft just right over the freeway. Man,
Mm-hmm.
the thing was probably like 500 feet. So I'm like, okay, there's a little airfield there or something. So I got off eventually and went into this little dirt road, and there's this little airfield right there,
Wow. Right.
you know,
Just appeared out of nowhere.
out of nowhere. And there's this Dutch couple,
Mm-hmm.
and I went in there. I spoke to her. She was very nice, and I asked her if she needed any, a hand
Sure.
to do stuff, cut
Sure.
the grass,
Whatever.
whatever,
Yeah.
whatever.
I'm not. I'm
And
not. I'm not too proud. Mhm.
yeah, so she's like, well, let me think about that for a little bit. She went in, she spoke to the husband, and he's like, no, we got somebody already. It's fine, thank you. So I just stuck around because the place was nice, man. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a like a nice family picnic area,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. And it got a little late, and I decided to just spend the night there,
Right. Mm-hmm.
And maybe about 3, 4 in the morning, somebody's knocking on my window on the vehicle, and she's
Right.
like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing here? You bring your class down. What are you doing here? I'm like, well, I stayed here, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really have a place to go and whatnot. And she's like, well, what do you mean you don't have a place to stay? And I
Mm-hmm.
sort of explained to her further, and it was cold, man. So she's like,
Right.
you know what? It's too cold. Come in, let's talk. Come inside. So we spoke, and she decided to basically give me a shot. The
Mm-hmm.
name of the flight school was MVP Aero Academy at the time,
Wow.
and those two folks, it was John and Carol Maitland. I don't have their contact, but if I could ever get in touch with them,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
you know. But so she spoke to me, and at the time she had 7 aircraft,
Wow.
and she's like, I could let you wash them. I'll pay you $40 an
Mm-hmm.
aircraft.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So, man, you know me. You
Oh,
know us
you
as a
jumped
family.
on, man. There's no pride. Take that. And
Dude,
no ego, no pride. Opportunity. You were in your environment again.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Then
You
again,
know,
what you had to
I
do, I had to wash them, clean them, whatever I had to do. I was around Marco
dude,
Plain. Marco Plain was back.
that's right. I came from a bloodline of warriors, man.
Yes.
We
Yes.
we do what we gotta do.
Do what we got to
So,
do.
the guy that used to do them, he used to do like probably 1 plane a day.
Right.
Dude, that day, if it wasn't for the 7th plane being out flying,
Mm-hmm.
I would have got it too. I washed all
Wow.
of
All the
6
planes. 6 planes in one
that
day.
day. I'm talking about top to bottom, vacuum, everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the instructors at that flight school were amazed. They're like, man, who's this guy washing? It's like, man,
Mm-hmm.
he did all these aircraft.
In one day.
So I didn't know that. The lady
Mm-hmm.
came to me and she's like, yo, that's amazing that you could do all these in one day.
Right.
Anyway, she decided to keep me on, and it's a big airfield.
Right.
There are other airline employees, airline captains who own
Right.
aircraft,
Right.
and these guys are passing in their expensive cars and stuff, and they're like, "Hey, I got this blue plane over there. Here's the tail number. How much you gonna charge?" So I tell him, I'll do it for $80. Man,
Right.
these guys will pull out $200 and just, hey, when you're done, just put the keys in there, and they
Wow.
pay you right there.
Mm-hmm.
And man, so of course her aircraft were priority, but over
Right.
the months I built a little like
A
a
little
clientele.
clientele. Right.
Man, pretty soon I had so much work
Mm-hmm.
that I couldn't even contain. I had to get friends to help me and
Right.
stuff
Right.
like that. So the real movement for me started when I became when I grew a huge clientele,
Mm-hmm.
started networking, which is very, very important.
Right. Mm-hmm. But
And when I say
yep. You know me and networking. You know me and networking.
absolutely,
Yep. Yep.
so uh, you have to be personable. You
Right.
know, you have to be able to be approachable. And a lot of these guys, they're of a certain, statue, and they hold themselves a certain way. And
Mm-hmm.
I got invited to $1 million homes, man,
Right.
just because they're your client.
Right.
You develop a relationship with them,
Right.
and Thanksgiving comes, Christmas comes, they're like, hey dude, come over, and you get to meet other guys
Right. In the field that you want to
in
be.
the field. In
Like
the field.
minds, you've been around people just like you who think like you. All they know is flying.
Right. So you're in the field, and it's all this aviation talk. And I remember in there guys saying, oh, Kevin, you'll be fine, brother. They're going to need so many pilots in 12, 13, 14 years from now. And in my mind, I know what I want.
Right.
But it's like,
How do I get there?
it,
But I know I'm going to get there. But how?
dude, it's so far fetched to me at the
Yes.
time. And
Yes.
it, and,
Yes.
and it's also a bit discouraging too,
Mm-hmm.
because, human nature, you start to kind of doubt
Mm-hmm.
that it's
Yep.
possible.
Exactly.
But this whole patience thing, man, it's huge.
Yes.
It's huge. But for you to fuel your patience and for you to fuel your dream, you have to set a goal.
Yes. Yes.
Dreams without goals are just dreams.
Yes. That's right. That's dreams,
You
buddy.
understand?
Mm-hmm.
So by setting little timelines for myself, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
My first one was 10
Right.
because I was already into it like four
Right.
years into it.
Right.
So I was
Right.
like, another 6 years, I could do it.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but man, sometimes I had my days where it was
Oh,
just,
trust me, it's all of us. But that's where the growth is. That's where the growth is. The growth
yeah,
is in what I call defining moments.
yeah,
These are the defining moments of our life. And but once you decide, once I decide what I want to do in my life, I make that decision, it's a done deal. I don't go
yes,
back. There's no second, there's no plan B. And if you and I always talk about there's no plan. When you want something, there's no plan B. Like I always make an analogy. I say I see children playing sports, playing baseball, and then the best player. Then you have the second, third, fourth, fifth prize. You don't give a child a fifth prize trophy.
no,
No, you either win or you go home. At that age, you still want to instill in them it's about winning. The
it's
life is
about
about
winning.
winning. Losing is good because you get to be mild and think differently and accept defeat. But it's about winning. The world is about winning and about personal winning. So you absorb that at a young age. No
Absolutely,
plan B. No plan B.
no
No.
plan B. You just put your mind to it, and my dad was the same way in the music business.
Oh, Buffalo. We got to give props to Buffy,
Buffalo,
man. Buffalo. Yeah.
props to Buffalo.
Yeah, man.
My dad always emphasized on winning,
Yes.
and just give it your all.
Yeah.
And in talking to him while I was going through everything, he's like, man, that's okay. You just keep moving,
Just keep moving. That's right.
you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
keep moving. And,
Yeah.
music, we have a lot that my dad and we have a lot in common, especially the music.
Right.
And that's another field of work you have to be patient about. So I
Right.
think I got a lot of the patience from him and just the endurance,
Mm-hmm.
and watching him throughout the years, just never, I've never seen my dad at a standstill.
Right. Oh
So
yeah.
always
Always
moving,
moving. That's right. Always
you
moving.
know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's funny, you know, even I remember growing up walking with him downtown, and he'd have these big strides, man. And I'm trying to keep up with my little legs. And
Yeah. No.
now people tell me the same thing. He said, dude,
Yeah.
why you walk so fast? You know,
Yeah. I know.
you
I
know.
know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I got that drive from him.
Mm-hmm.
And so fast forward to you know, the patience part
Right.
with me and the guys at you know, these guys telling me, man, just, you know, I see you at this point, at certain point in your life, you know, they're gonna need pilots. And so I was like, you know what, I'll just keep washing planes,
Right.
I'll save my money.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to hang out with a lot of the flight instructors, because every
Mm-hmm.
Friday they would rotate the aircraft. So this lady had two flight schools,
Right.
and every Friday I wouldn't tell her anything because I was not on the insurance and all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I would go ride with these guys and get
Mm-hmm.
flight training on the side, you know.
Wow.
Man, I did that for about two more years, and I just logged my flight time.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I couldn't do anything with the flight time at the time,
Right.
because of my status in the country.
Right.
So uh, I saved all these hours. I had my logbook, and I just
Right.
put it aside. Just logging the time
Just log
gave
in.
gave me something to look forward to.
Right. Right. There you
You
go.
know,
You had a. It was a vision. You had a vision exactly.
exactly. So all these planes I washed, I saved all the money.
Mm-hmm.
I also bought small vehicles. You know, I'd pay like $400 for them. Go to the junkyard, put a transmission in there. You know, because I had a shop at my disposal
Right. There
on
you
the
go.
airfield.
Because the mechanical skills that you adapted from St. Lucia, from Andamon, Montec.
That's right.
That's right.
So, man, I wore the same clothes,
Mm-hmm.
t-shirt and jeans and my tennis shoes,
Hey, that's all it took, man.
and that was me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, just driven, just focused on
Right.
on the prize. Um, I was able to go back to school after
Good.
that to
Right.
do the mechanics to finish off my license.
Right.
And that's another thing. I never, although I was out of school, the thing with aviation, whether it be the mechanics or the flying,
Mm-hmm.
you have to keep at it. You have to stay in the
Yes.
books,
Mm-hmm.
because man, that's one field, man. If you get discouraged and you stop, or you say, oh, I'm gonna take a break, man, when you come back, it's like starting
It's
all
changed.
over.
Everything has changed. Right. Exactly.
Everything is changed. So you keep moving.
Right.
And I got so proficient at all my written exams, the practice tests,
Mm-hmm.
that I went in one day and I sat all three exams in one day.
And one. Wow.
Yeah, and I was able to get the written done. Now, here's the catch. When I tell
Mm-hmm.
you everything is timing. So
Mm-hmm.
with the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration,
Mm-hmm.
uh, everything has to line up paperwork wise.
Right. Right.
So I'm in the office. I went to the flight district office, and I bring in my 8610, which is a form you have to fill out
Mm-hmm.
showing that you have the necessary hours,
Right.
etc. So here's how the blessings came in. On that
Mm-hmm.
same airfield,
Mm-hmm.
there's this old man, old,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he was an old racist guy, but we became friends, you
Mm-hmm.
know, old white racist guy. And I used to help him do stuff,
Right.
you know, and I've helped him for at least 3 years, just putting engines on and stuff. He's like, well, man, how you know how to do all this stuff? And I
Mm-hmm.
told him, you know, I was at Westwood College for a year and,
Right.
you know, ran out of money. So he's like, oh, school, you don't need school. Just come, you know, just come work for me. So, man, I would wash my planes,
Mm-hmm.
and every couple hours I'd go there, put on some tires for him, do different things. And one day I told him how important it was for me to get the license.
Right.
And man, he actually signed me off because
Wow.
he's a aircraft inspector.
Right. Wow.
And I told him, look, Harold, man, I know you don't believe in the whole school and getting certified and licensed and all that, but I really need to prove to myself that
Yeah.
I got this done. I need
Mm-hmm.
to show my uncle that I got this done, you know, my
Mm-hmm.
uncles, my mom, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I set out to do the
Right.
maintenance first.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I felt some kind of way getting into the flying and not finishing the aircraft
Right.
maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
So he signed me off. Now, when these guys sign you off, they're
Mm-hmm.
literally vouching for you on their ticket, their
Wow.
license.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? If I screw up so bad,
Right.
they're gonna come after him. It's like, okay, why are you signing this guy off? And
Mm-hmm.
he did so bad. Like, let's
Right.
see your training methods, because there are
Mm-hmm.
two ways you could get the license. You either get it from the school, an accredited college,
Right.
like Westwood College, or
Mm-hmm.
you have to work 4,800 man hours under an aircraft inspector.
Wow. Wow.
So I was able to kill two birds with one stone, generate some kind of income, and also learn under him and get signed off.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I got everything done in 2008
Mm-hmm.
with him there. So it took me 4 years to build a little bit of flight time, build a clientele, generate some income. I
Mm-hmm.
was able to help out back home in St. Lucia with finances. I was able to pay my loans off and
Wonderful.
do different things. And with the help of Auntie Diane as well,
Mm-hmm.
she helped me a lot to paying off a lot of my stuff. I'm forever
Right.
grateful for her for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so 2008 was a good year for me. Sense of
Right.
accomplishment. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I was actually going and somewhere. And man, I met some amazing people along the way, and all from me just taking a wrong turn that day on Highway 290. Stuff just clicked, man. Talk
Just
about
click.
timing,
Kevin,
man.
let me tell you something. I'm glad you mentioned that. I always say that, I've been in this country for many, many years, almost 40 years. I came as a kid, 17 and a half, 18 years old. Along the way, so many people have helped me. I cannot, my coaches, the alumni, I used to eat at restaurants free because I was an athlete. People who own restaurants, the alumni. I
Yes,
mean, it's I go back. I worked at a photography store. The gentleman gave me a job. He taught me photography, which I always liked. Then he taught me how to ride horses. These are people
yeah,
along my way that just crossed my path, and I
man.
am forever indebted to all those people along the way who helped me. So it's incumbent on me. I pass it along to anybody else who comes in my way, because you got to help each other. You got to bring your brother up, whether it's your biological
Absolutely.
or not. So I'm glad you saw that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. There's so many people,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it started from, the Westwood College where I met friends like, Miguel and another guy, Jason Paradis, who actually introduced me to Harold Wilson, which was the old guy.
Right.
So we were both coworkers. We were both working for
Mm-hmm.
Harold at the time, and you know, Jason, man, when times when I had nothing,
Mm-hmm.
Jason was right there. Jason
Right.
Paradis. So
Mm-hmm.
very grateful for Jason. We're still very good friends
That's
today.
good. That's
After Harold passed, he
good. Mm-hmm.
actually took over the business, so
Good. Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
now the owner. And
Wonderful.
yeah, so 2008, I sealed the deal, had got my license, and I was like, okay, what do I do? What's next?
Mm-hmm.
The good thing is I had a bunch of people in my pocket, people I
Right.
could reach out to. So I
Mm-hmm.
started calling around and stuff, and this guy told me, well, you have to somehow get in touch with this guy in Florida. And I tried for a couple months, didn't get him. Anyway, I stayed in Houston, and just through talking to other friends of mine, they told me, you know what? There's this company called Kogan Air, which
Mm-hmm.
is affiliated with Continental Airlines.
Right.
Maybe you should try to get on with them.
Mm-hmm.
So, based on the type of visa I had, I was able to get some sort of work authorization,
Right.
but I could only work a certain amount of hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on with Kogan Air in 2009 as an aircraft technician, certified aircraft technician. And then the world just opened up,
Wow.
because now
Wow.
now now I'm in it, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in it, you know. There's aircraft all around me. I'm touching them. I'm sitting in the pilot seats. I'm talking to other pilots in the hangar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm helping out at other bases like in Memphis and Washington D.C.
Wow.
I'm seeing the world, man.
Yeah, but
You
different
know,
perspective.
different
From a
perspective.
pilot's view now.
Yep. And because of my work ethic, man, just I was surprised these guys work a little 8 hours and they done. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, nah, man, I'll stay for another 4 hours.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that attitude was recognized by the upper heads.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So they're like, all right, you know what? We need this guy on the flight line.
Mm-hmm.
We need you to meet these aircraft when they come up to the gate.
Right.
And so I got transferred to the line. Now, before I got transferred to the line, I did the heavy check aspect of the aircraft, which is a tear down and rebuild after certain cycles. A cycle is a takeoff and landing.
Right.
So whether 3,000 cycles, you completely tear it down and you rebuild it.
Rebuild the engines.
The engines and the airframe, the whole thing.
Wow.
These were 30 seaters at the time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Propeller. And so just doing that for about a year, man, I knew every corner of that aircraft. So when they come in
Wonderful.
with little issues, I know exactly where to get to, how to get to it, how much
Mm-hmm.
time. The difference between a mechanic in the hangar versus a line mechanic,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be quick on your feet.
Right. Right.
They radio in with an issue, you research it. By the time they land, you got your tools in hand. I have a little golf cart, and you go straight. And we had 9 gates to supply.
Wow.
So I became very efficient at that,
Mm-hmm.
based off the heavy check experience
Mm-hmm.
and work ethic and timing and the mechanics and everything just tied, man.
And
Everything
loving what
tied in place.
when you love what you do, it's not a job.
It's
You know
not.
that? Like Uncle Chris, we talk all the time, and he flies jets. He
Right.
flies charter jets, and he is working. He said, "Man, but you know what?" He said, "It's not a job. I go to work every day, and I do what I love, and I get paid for it."
That's true. That's
Really
true.
enjoys flying. I mean, and he just loves it. So I understand it. It's not a job, exactly. Yeah.
It's not a job. So I did that up until 2012, and unfortunately there was a crash in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Kogan Air crash in Buffalo that
Wow.
changed the industry forever, including my little airline, Kogan
Mm-hmm.
Air.
Right. Right.
So 2012, the company filed Chapter 11,
Mm-hmm.
and I was basically back to washing
Back to
planes.
square one. Well, life has a funny way of kicking us around, right? Exactly. But it's not
But
failing. It's all learning, right?
it's all learning. I
Yeah.
was ever
Yeah.
so grateful for Jason again, Jason
Right.
Paradis, because he had the business now. I said,
Right.
hey man, you won't believe, dude. I need to
Right.
come see you. And
I need
he's
to
like,
come
dude,
see you.
come on down.
Come
I
on
got
now. There you go.
plenty of work. I need the help.
Right.
So yeah, man. I worked with him for a little while, and just decided to see if I could explore
Mm-hmm.
other opportunities. I spoke to people in DC, spoke to people in, New York, all over, and it was like nothing. The aviation, there was a recession at the time. A lot of people lost their jobs in 2012,
Right.
and because they were feeling the effects
Mm-hmm.
of 9/11.
Right. Right.
Very, very critical time for
Right.
aviation back then.
Yeah. Planes weren't flying. Nobody was flying.
No, nobody was hiring, nobody was flying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So
Wow.
here's where the mechanics, came in play, because
Mm-hmm.
without that backup, man,
Mm-hmm.
what would I
That's
have
right.
done?
There you go.
You
Good.
know,
Good.
so there was a little bit of stagnancy,
Mm-hmm.
and but I stayed active,
That's good.
kept
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah. Yeah. Kept moving. Again, kept moving.
Yeah. So mom at the time moved to Tampa
Right. Your
somehow.
mother moved to Tampa. Yeah, I remember that. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and man, I just went to visit one day, and I visited over the course of maybe a year. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember she used to tell me, boy, you need to come to Tampa, boy. You need to come to Tampa. You just come and stay with your mommy.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, man, I love Houston so bad. I was
I
like,
know, I
nah,
know.
I would just chill,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know? Um, so one day I went to visit her and I wasn't working at the time. And she's like, hey, look, put in an application, see what's going on at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
And man, there was a company called Silver Airways at the time.
Silver Airways. Yep, yep.
Yeah, and I remember putting an application like the Tuesday afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a call Wednesday morning to come in Thursday for an interview.
Interview.
And my airline, Colgan Air, unbeknownst to me, they sold all their aircraft to Silver
Right.
Airways.
Wow. So all the
So
records was there.
all the records, all the tail numbers
Wow.
were the same. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew these planes like the back of my hand, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So I got hired as a line technician again, making more money,
Right.
and then transferred as a lead.
Mm-hmm.
And I met a friend of mine in Tampa, and I knew him from Houston. He
Right.
was a little boy, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, I know this guy. He comes off the aircraft, and I'm saying, I know this guy. And I said, uh, I said, hey, do you know me? He's like, yeah, man, Kevin from Wise Airport.
Wow.
So I'm like, dude, you're a captain. What? That's amazing.
Wow. He was a
You
captain
know,
already. Wow.
yeah, you know how I met this guy? He walked into flight school one day in Houston. He's like, yeah, my mom just dropped me off. I'm supposed to, just hang around for a little bit and see if I like it and talk
Mm-hmm.
to some people. I was like, well, you should get a discovery flight. Maybe that'll change your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see him for years, man.
Wow.
So, but I was happy for him, but deep down inside, I'm like, man, Kev, what are you doing? You've gotten comfortable as a mechanic, man.
Right, right, exactly.
Because there was a time I was like, nah, I'll just chill. I'll play my music
Right.
and just,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still back and forth in Houston at the time, commuting and, you know, I met Rhea, who's my
Mm-hmm.
significant other, and
Right,
everything just sort of fell in place.
right.
We talked about it and we secured finances for flight school at the time called ATP flight
Mm-hmm.
school. It was a
Yeah,
fast track. Definitely
right.
not the school for everybody, but
Yeah, 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 yeah.
because I was so late in the game, I was 35 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And you were driven.
I was driven.
That's right. Fast track, baby.
Yeah.
Fast track. What I
And
call
this,
10x mindset.
man, you tell me, fast track is it because, well, that was what I needed. I needed
Yes.
to get it done because I felt
Mm-hmm.
behind in the industry.
Right, right.
So, yeah, I secured the finances, and man, within 6 months, I was done.
Wow. I remember that time
Imagine
because six
six
months and
months,
them those payments used to kick your butt. I remember.
man. I remember talking to the school, and they're like, "There's no, sir, you cannot work and do this.
I
This
know.
is, I remember getting the tour, and he's like, "Oh no, you have to be here full time,
Full time,
8
exactly.
hours a day." So I'm like, "Well, that's not gonna happen.
No,
I'm telling you from
you,
now, I'm
exactly.
gonna
They didn't
be
know
there
you.
full time.
They didn't know you.
So I'm gonna be there full time, but."
Sure.
I will be working as well. I have a
Right.
full-time job right there, Tampa International.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I didn't take any days off, man, for like
I know.
7 months.
I remember that. I
No
remember
days
that.
off,
It was the hardest time for you, but you stuck with it, buddy. We
man.
talked
But you
about
know
it
what?
many times. I remember that.
It's funny because, I'd wake up, 7, head down there by, within, like 8, or sometimes we'd be there even earlier just based on, how I felt,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I'd fly until noon and go to work from at Tampa International, 2 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So man, we talk about maybe 3-4 hours of sleep a
Oh
day
yes. Oh yes.
and right back at it.
Right
And
back at it. Yeah.
you're moving forward.
Right.
You don't you see your progress, but you're just waiting for the end because it's so tiring, man.
I
Believe it or
know.
not.
I
I
know.
know
I
it's your
know.
goal, it's your dream, but
Mm-hmm.
man, there are times you're like, dude, I can't wait till this is
I know.
done.
Yeah,
You
that
know?
little bit of doubt, because that's human nature to doubt
Yeah.
ourselves. Exactly. But
Yep.
once
So
you stick with it, but okay, so you stuck with that, you finished that
yep.
up.
Stuck with it, great support from, family, Ria, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I got everything done within 6 months, and I started to reach out to all my contacts
Right.
again.
Mm-hmm.
And then right there in Orlando, there's a friend of mine. He's like, I need you to call this guy and just tell him you're a mechanic. Tell him you got some
Mm-hmm.
flight time and go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Drove down to Maitland, Florida, met the guy. He's like, what? How does next week sound? I'm like, next week for what? He's like, I'm sending you to school, man. I'm
Wow.
sending you to Atlanta for 2 weeks to get type rated on this aircraft.
Wow.
And I'm coming from a little tiny twin engine to
Right.
this big 30-seater aircraft
Mm-hmm.
called an Embraer 120.
Right.
By far the hardest thing I have
Wow.
had to do in my
Wow.
life. You talk about the fire hose effect, which is just this rush of knowledge
Yes, yes.
into your
Mm-hmm.
mind. You're sitting there and your mouth is open and you can't
Wow.
process it fast enough. You
Yep,
just
yep.
have to write.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me 2 weeks, but I got it done, dude.
Yep.
I got
Oh
it done
yes. Okay.
with the
Opportunity.
help
Opportunity was there. You say, I'm not letting that pass by.
with
I'm
the
gonna
help
figure
of
it out.
Uncle Chris.
I'm gonna figure it
Man,
out.
with the help of Uncle Chris, failure was not an option.
No, no, no. There was no plan B.
No plan B.
That's
So
right.
um, got the job with them, and the challenging part was now the industry is discouraging in such a way that you put in a lot of time, you put in a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
but your first job as a pilot, man, the pay is ridiculous. I went from making almost 80 grand as a mechanic to
Mm-hmm.
20,000 a
I
year
know. I know. It's.
as a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Man, those when you see a guy with a uniform on, it doesn't make sense to him, but
No.
it's your drive, it's your goal, it's your
It,
passion.
mm-hmm.
And when something is your passion, man, you get paid to do it. You don't really care how much, but
How
yes,
much?
it does matter.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
you want that license, man. You want that ticket.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I had to stick through it, and
Good. Good.
with just the help and support of Ria and family, and
Mm-hmm.
time went by. Um, with that particular company, I was with them for 9 months
Right.
because they went under.
Wow.
So I'm already certified in this certain aircraft. I just made a lateral move to another company called
Right.
Ameriflight Cargo.
Mm-hmm.
Ameriflight was,
I remember you flew
yeah,
cargo for a while, all over the Caribbean, all over South America. I remember that.
man,
But logging those hours in,
it
logging those hours.
was all about flight time back then,
Right, exactly. I remember that,
and
yeah.
yeah, so I did that for another 9 months, and growing up as a boy, I aspired to fly for Liat in the
Right.
Caribbean,
I know.
and there was a bittersweet thing about it because I know I was, certified enough to go fly with them and everything.
Right.
But me going back to the Caribbean, flying with them
Yeah.
felt like a backwards move. But I was like,
Exactly.
man,
Yep.
so Ameriflight had all these options to fly all over the U.S., but I chose the Puerto Rico base because you were able to go down to the islands.
I remember
So
you actually were in St. Lucia a couple times. Remember that?
oh
Some
yeah, at
cargo,
least
yeah.
twice a week, at least
That's
twice a
right.
week.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like a band-aid
Mm-hmm.
for the
Mm-hmm.
wound I felt for not being able to fly in the islands. And
Right,
I was
right.
able to, you know, pull up right next to a lot of my friends who fly for the ad and walk up
Right.
and be like, man, I'm just saying hello. I see you on the ramp, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we just, having fun down there. I would go see my dad sometimes,
Right.
go eat with him, go see my sister at the bank, Sharma.
Right.
And I was getting work done,
Right.
definitely
Yes.
building
Yes.
flight time, and I
Mm-hmm.
was having fun with it,
Good. That's right.
So fast forward to like 2016, that's after a year. I decided, maybe I could go into the passenger configuration now. So that was a company called Endeavor Air, which was affiliated with Delta Airlines.
Right.
Man, I went in there, got the job, was stoked about it, started class, and out of a class of 70 dudes, there was only three of us,
Right.
three black guys.
Right.
So we stuck together through it, and they were able to give me my same employee number back from Kogan Air because
Right.
somehow Kogan they came back up, but they changed the name to Pinnacle,
Right.
and Pinnacle became Endeavor Air. So basically, it was the same company.
Right.
And I figured, why not go to them? That way, I'm familiar with the workings of the company, and they gave me my same employee number back, everything. But for some reason, it didn't feel the same anymore. Um, the second exam I took was a written exam. I failed by like a 79, and they made such a fuss about it. I did a retake, but for some reason, my mind was, I was a little broken the fact that I failed the first
Right.
time, and the second try I made the same mark, same 79,
Yeah.
and I think that was the lowest I ever felt in my aviation career because I
Right.
hadn't failed at anything, man. You
Anything.
had to
Right.
understand,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, it was like a mild depression. I
Yeah.
wouldn't lie,
Yeah, sure.
you
I mean,
know.
definitely. But failure, now that we've grown a little bit more, we need failure in our lives.
And
Failure
and
is a motivation. It's not a failure when you look at it now. It's just growth, you know?
and it was a test of faith as well,
Right.
because you hear people say, "Oh man, God has a better plan," and there's
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. Now, I'm 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 not super religious, but I
Mm-hmm.
do believe in God,
Sure, sure. You're a
and
Christian.
I
You're a
believe
Christian.
in being patient.
Right.
I believe being patient and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and I believe everything happens for a certain reason.
Right.
So I'm at the house, not doing anything, just trying to stay motivated,
Right.
and I play bass.
Mm-hmm.
This is my instrument right here.
Right. There you go. I
Now
know it.
yep, I had a YouTube channel and
Mm-hmm.
Instagram and all that stuff.
Right. Right.
I applied for this company called Mesa Airline,
Mm-hmm.
and of course I applied and I got a call from this friend of mine, Aaron Grissom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, shout out to Aaron Grissom for
Out of it.
you
Well,
know,
that's right. There you go.
yeah. And he's like, man, just to be honest, just I'm just trying to figure out, are you like Kevin Spencer, the bass guy, and Kevin Spencer, because your name rings a bell. I'm like, yeah. It's like, who's this? He said, man, this is Aaron. I follow you on Instagram and I watch
Wow.
your videos.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So the interview went very well, man. And he's like,
Wonderful.
dude, we got a class starting Monday. You in? You ready or what? I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, sign me up.
Wow.
So
Wow.
October 2017, got in with Mesa. Man, we talk about timing again.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about disappointment and blessings at the same
Right.
time.
Right.
A year later, captain,
Mm-hmm.
became captain, and
Captain Spencer.
Captain Spencers, and
Yeah.
it's funny, all the guys at the previous airline, Endeavor,
Mm-hmm.
they're still there.
Mm-hmm.
And had I still been at Endeavor, yeah, I don't think I'll have as much flight time as I have. I don't think I would have had the pilot in command time,
Right.
PIC
Right.
time, the
Mm-hmm.
captain
Mm-hmm.
time,
Right.
because
Right.
I don't think any of them are captains.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I could confirm that. None of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that move, yeah, I felt like crap, failing,
Yep.
but
Yep.
man,
There's nothing
got
like
back up,
there's no failure in life. You only learn.
no feeling that.
Motivation,
So,
baby. You push
oh
me. You
yeah,
tell me you fail me. You just push me on a one more level. Exactly.
yep. So I try to, I had a lot of help.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of people who motivated me.
Sure.
And when I became a captain, I decided, you know what, it's time to give back. It's time to pay it forward.
Right.
So I enrolled in an organization of Black aerospace professionals,
Right.
and I started volunteering at different high schools to
Right.
both girls and boys,
Mm-hmm.
teenagers, and even back home with the help of Lovely Sheridan.
Right.
We decided to embark on a little journey.
Mm-hmm.
So I went home with her, and we went to my alma mater, Corin Secondary School,
Right. Right.
and I spent about 2, 3 hours talking to the kids and just
Right.
motivating them because representation is everything.
Oh yes, they look up to you.
You
Role
know?
models. Role
Oh
models.
yeah, and I wish when I was in Anglican school or Korean secondary school that a pilot would come speak to
Mm-hmm.
me and tell
Mm-hmm.
me, what's ahead, what to
That
expect.
was my grassroots. I used to be in this little school here too. Exactly, the
Exactly.
grassroots, simple
So,
with your little uniform, right?
man, what a sense of accomplishment.
Yes, yes, indeed,
Which
indeed,
it was
indeed.
such a great feeling seeing all
Mm-hmm.
my teachers.
Mm-hmm.
One of them I used to make a joke with her. Because we sat right next to the window and I could see the freeway and everything. She said, "Mr. Spencer, you won't get anything done by looking out the window. There's
I
no
know.
future out there." You say, you see all these people, they have jobs. They have stuff. It's
Yeah,
funny. And I made a joke where I said, "But all I do is look out the window."
I know.
I said, "That's all I do for my job. I look out the window."
I look out the window right now. Yep, I fly and I
You
look
know,
out. I see this. I see the world from a different perspective.
yeah.
So,
But
so
it
tell me.
it
So tell me, Kevin. So now that you reached that point in your life where you've had all these accomplishments, you've become a captain, not just a pilot, but you're in command of the aircraft right now. You have a
mhm.
second officer takes who follows you, whatever your lead is. So what's your
Right.
next step? What's your next step after that? Now, what's your aspiration?
Well, my next step is to basically get a proper footing in at the majors. Now, I was able to accomplish that towards the latter part of 2019 with
Okay,
United Airlines. So I got
okay,
hired with United Airlines, but
mm-hmm.
so my scheduled class date was supposed to be July of 2020.
Right,
But COVID came about and kind of screwed everything up.
right, mm-hmm.
Um, Again, I'm just being patient.
Right,
I still have my conditional job offer,
right,
but I have been volunteering in the meantime,
mm-hmm.
and my goal is to just continue paying it back, man. I'm
Right,
paying it forward. I
mm-hmm.
need to.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm more passionate about empowering the youth.
Right. That's it.
You
Yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm. Show
that's
them the
that's really my
possibilities. The
that's
possibilities.
that's
Life
really
is.
my goal.
Yeah. You have to
You
give
know,
back, but like I said, people talk about karma, whatever you call it. It's intrinsic upon you to bring somebody, to help somebody. Even when I was running, I came up on a track and field scholarship. I brought up two other kids during the
hmm
subsequent years. I always try to, it's just it's part of what we do. We just
right.
help one another. We bring somebody else up. Like I said, bring up your brother, bring up you. You have to be
You
someone,
have to.
right? Because you have a son right now, right? He's 4 years
Yep.
old, 5 years old. So you want a lot of that good karma to pass on to him. Maybe he'll become a pilot one day, right?
Yeah, he's showing a lot of interest in it.
That's good. Yeah.
When I FaceTime him, I show him the aircraft. I
Mm-hmm.
show him the ins and outs, the lights,
Excuse me.
everything. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but right now, I would have been at United at the time, and I would have taken the volunteering thing to the fullest.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But right now, the industry is suffering, so I try
Oh,
to pick up
man.
as much flying as possible. Like we spoke about earlier, hopefully the
Mm-hmm.
government steps in and
Right.
and bails us out.
Right.
But to answer your question firmly, yeah, my goal now is to pay it forward and
Right.
to represent.
Good. Good.
Representation.
Mm-hmm.
Go home, establish. We were able to establish an aviation group
Mm-hmm.
um, on Facebook as well, to where I get questions from the guys and I keep them motivated,
Sure.
etc.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because but growing up, you know guys who are pilots, but a lot of them, they're like, oh, you just have to do this, you gotta read, you gotta. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
for you to sit down and tell them, look, sometimes when you have a goal, you cannot go straight for it.
Right.
you want to go in the, you want to keep going in the direction of it, but they're little blocks, they're little stepping stones. It's like you're a little kid, you're in the kitchen and there's the counter and there's this cookie jar you want, there's this cookie you want. Well, you can't just jump on the counter. You take the chair, you put the chair next to, you know, and you climb the chair.
You climb the chair, you get on top of the counter. There you go.
Exactly.
There's
So
steps. Yeah.
there's steps. So the mechanics was steps. The washing planes was steps. Going to the airport,
sleeping
surrounding
in your car,
yourself,
sleeping in your car. People don't understand those things. What you have to go. Like I always go back to Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey, you know, he says his passion is comedy. Sure, he has talk shows, 4 or 5 talk shows. Yeah, he said if today I lost everything, all my talk shows, I would go back to what I love, comedy, making the $200 a night, $50 sleeping in my car, the passion. You know, so God gives us gifts. And your gift is what is your. It belongs to you. Exactly. So I know your story so well, but I wanted to tell your story. I wanted to tell your story because it's important to know that a little kid was scrawny growing up, right?
Right.
Used to watch the planes take off from the airport every day, up and down, just land and pick, and then the dream, just to be a dreamer. Let me tell you, imagination is everything. Imagination is everything. If you can imagine it, you can believe it, it can become yours.
Yeah, and you know, I still don't get comfortable as a captain. You know, I'm very personable. I invite little kids to the flight deck all the time, and you know, every now and then I'm up there, and I have a first officer, and you know, he's my first officer, but he's still my equal. Yes, I'm the captain, but it's just I'm only captain because I've been doing it longer than he has.
Right.
But we have the exact same training.
Exactly.
So I'm a book of knowledge. A lot of captains are reserved to the first officers. They don't want to share a lot. But I remember I was an FO, a first officer once, and I remember asking these guys certain things. And you know, depending on the personality, they'll be like, "Oh, this is how you do it," and they'll do it real quick and be like,
"Forget about
nothing to it."
Exactly right.
You know, but to say like they'll chop it up like a piece of bread and feed it to you, that was probably the most difficult thing for me. So I promised myself that when I became a captain, I would not be like that.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of the guys, man, I let them find their own specific little pattern of doing things. I let them get comfortable. Then I show them, okay, this is another way you can do it, whatever way is comfortable, as long as we're within the standard.
You know?
The
guidelines, exactly. Yeah.
So you got captains who are leaders, and you got captains who are like bosses.
Right.
You know? A boss says, tell you, oh, this is how you do it. You do it this way, or that's the only way you do it. But then you have a leader who would be like, well, let me show you another efficient way.
Right.
And look at it, see how you like it, and modify it to where it could work for both of us.
There you
know?
Go. That's it.
So I have a lot of guys who enjoy flying with me specifically because I allow them to be themselves.
Right.
You know, as long as we're right there within the safety guidelines, the standard way, we good. That way, when we're getting tested by the check airman,
right?
You know, he's like, man, I like how you guys
team up in the cockpit.
I
there
like
you
the
go.
team.
Yeah. So tell me about your flight. You had a specific flight where you had two St. Lucian pilots. Two St. Lucian pilots on the same flight deck. Wow, that must have been amazing for you too.
Yeah. So Tevin and my journey were very similar. I'm pretty sure one day you'll probably get to talk to him. But so when he was a first officer, I was also a first officer. Now I got to know Tevin through the same aviation group of St. Lucians.
Right.
You know, young guys aspiring to learn.
Right.
Again, representation is important. So these guys knew.
You see my little St. Lucian flag? You see my little Lucian flag?
I see it right there.
I give props to Lucia all the time, man.
Yep. So somebody told him, hey, do you know this guy named Kevin Spencer? I know you got an interview coming up, but Kevin Spencer works at that company. You need to get in touch with him. So Tevin got in touch with me. I prepped him for the interview. He got the job. And ever since he came on board at my airline,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I've just been looking out for him. We
Right,
took one
right.
photograph together. We were
Mm-hmm.
both first officers at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I always just said, man, it'd be really cool if we could share the flight deck one day, you
Right,
know?
right.
And for a long time, it didn't happen. I was a reserved captain. A reserve captain is a captain who flies upon request of the
Right,
airline.
right.
You either pick up for example, if a captain isn't able to make the flight, you
Mm-hmm.
pick up the flight for him. So it was very difficult for me to get a set schedule. He had a set schedule. I didn't.
Right.
There was all this bouncing around for at least a year. And up
Mm-hmm.
until last week, there was this trip that they assigned me. And he's like, man, what if I could exchange with the other first officer so that I could
Wow.
fly with you?
Mm-hmm.
And crew scheduling approved it.
Right.
So we were able to do it. And, you know, it was just a personal thing of
Oh yeah,
ours.
I know. Yeah.
But man,
Yeah, yeah.
so
That
we,
was neat to see, man. That was you guys had your flag out there.
well, that's
And
the
that was
thing.
what that I have the shots. I'm gonna prop it up on our interview. I'm gonna insert
Here,
it and stuff, okay?
you know what's funny? The flag, I started carrying the flag
Mm-hmm.
when he came on board. I was like, I'm gonna have that flag with me everywhere I go
I know.
because
Yeah.
one day we will fly
Wonderful,
together.
man. That's great.
So, yeah, crew schedule made it possible, and we operated a flight from Houston, Texas to Washington Reagan International, which is in Washington D.C.
Right, right.
And you know, like I said, our own little personal goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we had a 2 hour sit. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? I got the flag. Let's ask the ramp guy to take some photos, just you know, and we'll
Wonderful.
just post it
Yeah,
to
yeah,
the
that was good,
aviation
man.
page.
That was nice, man.
And we had no idea this thing would
It
go
go
viral,
viral. Exactly. No, no, it was great. I mean,
you
it
know?
touched me a lot. It touched me a lot. I saw it. I said, wow. Dreams, man. It goes back to dreams.
Yeah.
Both you guys had dreams. And little boys, as little boys, we all have dreams. I mean, I have a dream right now to be a YouTube sensation. You know, I have my YouTube channel and I keep reaching out to people of influence, not just anybody. I want to tell your story. This interview was not about me. You can go on my YouTube channel and see all my interviews, but this is about Kevin Spencer. This is about Kevin's dream. And Kevin's dream is every little boy's dream of taking it one step at a time, failure, doubt, you know, sleeping in my car, but not giving up, being good to people, and people are reciprocating. That's what life is about. Life is a
Yeah.
journey. Life is a journey, man. And you know, if we only recognize that. But Kevin, I'm so happy that you took the time today to share your journey with us,
Oh,
man,
my
to share
pleasure,
journey with the
Uncle.
world. This is gonna go viral also. I can hardly wait to put it out there, man. It's just an infectious story. And to know that your last name is Spencer also, that we don't mess around, man. We don't, you know, we go get it. Spencers don't
That's
play,
right.
right? We go get it, you
That's
know?
right.
Thank you, and thanks to Uncle Chris, thanks to your mom, thanks to your significant other, everybody who stepped up to you to help you, you know. And I'm glad I was able to play a little part when you were in Houston. You
Oh
remember
man.
that? You said, Uncle, man, you know, I said, go, okay, run to Western Union. I got you, buddy. I got you.
Man,
Just those
Uncle,
little,
you
it wasn't a lot, but it was just a little bit to help you to that next level. You know what I'm saying? And
even before the whole aviation thing, Uncle, you like I said, you were like the most knowledgeable man
yeah,
I
yeah,
came
yeah,
across, man.
yeah.
And
Let me tell you.
you have your hand dipped in all aspects of life and
Well,
just
you know
everything.
your uncle. I've been an
It's an
entrepreneur.
honor, man. It's an honor to call you uncle,
I know,
definitely.
I know.
You
I've
know?
been an entrepreneur my whole life, and it's about not never giving up, no defeat in your life, man. You know that. You've seen me. You've seen me at the pinnacle of my in Atlanta. You've seen me at my lowest. But you know what?
Yeah.
Your old uncle never gives up, baby boy. Never give
Never.
up. Never. The day I close my eyes, I want to look up and say, you know what? It's been a hell of a ride, good God. It's been a hell of a
It
ride.
did.
Life is good. Life is not bad. Life is good. So we have to make it. We gotta push and push. No matter how old you get, you always have that joy for life. And then most of all, looking back and giving back.
That's my goal.
Don't
Yeah,
ever forget that.
definitely.
Don't ever forget. If I can be of any assistance, if you have any speaking engagement to give back for kids, and you want me to come along anytime that you want to, you're more than welcome. Just reach out to me.
Okay.
because I
Definitely.
love to give back. I've done it a lot. I did it a few weeks ago to a church, a Catholic church. I spoke to about 30 men who lost their jobs and were in a desperate way. And I talked about pivoting, you know,
Right.
teach your little boy also when as he grows up. It's not about, yes, you want to go to college and have a job and have a good job and all that good stuff. But you got to be paid. You got to be in control of your life. Don't be in control of, oh, if I don't have a job, then I'm out of everything. No, he has to be both. Have
Right.
him have a mindset early. That's what I want to be. I'm going to have a side business. I want to be this, you know. But you're an influence for a lot of children. So I want to thank you so much for coming to Think Tank, my brother.
Oh, my pleasure, man.
You know,
Anytime.
it's an honor. It's really an honor to call you, you know, my nephew, man. Honestly, you know, I you know,
Thank you, Uncle.
you're like a son to me. My wife loves you dearly, like a son also, Auntie Jan. So, man, Godspeed. You take care of yourself, take care of your family, and don't ever stop moving forward. Don't
Nope.
ever stop
It's not
going
an
forward.
option.
It's not an option. There's no plan B. So, Kevin,
Yes,
once
sir.
again, thanks for being in the think tank. And like I always say to everybody, don't be an ordinary person. Be an extraordinary person. Yes,
Extraordinary person.
you are. So, thank you, my brother. And you take care of yourself, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, Uncle.
Bye bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.